The starship Elysium shuddered violently as another plasma blast struck its hull. Red emergency lights bathed the corridors in a hellish glow, and the air was thick with the acrid scent of burning circuits. Lieutenant Sarah Carter clung to the bulkhead, her heart pounding as she tried to steady herself. The alien warship had ambushed them in the dead of space, and now the Elysium was crippled, its crew either dead or scattered. Lieutenant, a voice crackled over her comm. It was Ensign Patel, his voice strained. We've lost engines. Life support is failing. We need to. The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. Sarah cursed under her breath and pushed off the wall, floating down the corridor toward the escape pods. She had to survive. She had to. The Elysium was a research vessel, not a warship, and they had no business being in this sector of space. But the alien vessel had appeared out of nowhere, its sleek, obsidian hull bristling with weapons, and now here she was, fighting for her life. She reached the escape pod bay, only to find it in ruins. The pods had been destroyed, their hatches blown open to the void. Desperation clawed at her chest as she turned back, searching for another way out. That was when she heard it, a low, guttural growl that sent a chill down her spine. Sarah froze, her hand instinctively going to the plasma pistol at her side. The growl came again, closer this time, and she turned slowly to face the source of the sound. The alien stood at the end of the corridor, its massive frame silhouetted against the flickering emergency lights. It was easily 8 feet tall, its body covered in thick, chitinous armor that gleamed like polished onyx. Its face was a nightmare, a pair of glowing, slit-pupiled eyes set above a mouth filled with razor-sharp fangs. 2 curved horns protruded from its skull, and its clawed hands flexed as it took a step toward her. Sarah raised her pistol, her hands trembling. "Stay back," she shouted, her voice echoing in the empty corridor. The alien tilted its head, studying her with an unnerving intensity. Then, to her shock, it spoke. Human, it rumbled, its voice deep and guttural but unmistakably intelligible. "You are female." Sarah blinked, her finger hovering over the trigger. "What the hell do you want?" The alien took another step forward, its movements deliberate and predatory. "I am Kha'ruk, warrior of the Zorath. You are alone. Your ship is dying. You will not survive." Sarah's grip tightened on the pistol. "I'm not going down without a fight." Kha'ruk's lips curled into something that might have been a smile, revealing more of those terrifying fangs. "Brave. But foolish. You cannot defeat me." "Then why haven't you killed me yet?" she shot back, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. The alien's glowing eyes narrowed. "You are different. Strong. Defiant. I have never encountered a human like you." Sarah's mind raced. Was this some kind of game? A cruel taunt before he finished her off? "Get to the point," she snapped. Kha'ruk took another step closer, and Sarah fired. The plasma bolt struck his chest, but it barely left a scorch mark on his armor. He didn't even flinch. "Your weapons are useless," he said, his tone almost amused. "But I do not wish to kill you. I offer you a choice." "A choice?" she repeated, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Yes," Kha'ruk said, his gaze locking onto hers. "If you want to live, be my mate." Sarah stared at him, her mind struggling to process the words. "Your mate?" "Yes," he said, his voice firm. "Join me. Bear my offspring. In return, I will spare your life and protect you." Sarah's stomach churned. This had to be some kind of sick joke. "You're insane," she said, taking a step back. "I'd rather die." Kha'ruk's expression darkened, and he closed the distance between them in a single stride. Before she could react, he grabbed her wrist, his grip like iron, and yanked the pistol from her hand. He loomed over her, his breath hot against her face. "You do not understand," he growled. "This is not a request. It is a demand. You are strong. Your genes will produce powerful offspring. This is the only way you will survive." Sarah's heart raced as she struggled against his grip, but it was useless. He was too strong. "Let go of me," she shouted, her voice cracking. Kha'ruk's grip tightened, and for a moment, she thought he might crush her wrist. But then he released her, stepping back slightly. "Think carefully, human," he said, his tone softer now. "Your ship is lost. Your people are dead. You have no future here. But with me, you will live. You will be protected. And your offspring will be strong." Sarah's mind raced. She couldn't fight him. She couldn't escape. But the thought of submitting to him, of becoming his mate, made her skin crawl. Yet, what choice did she have? If she refused, he would kill her. And if she agreed, well, at least she'd be alive. Alive to fight another day. Alive to find a way out. "Fine," she said through gritted teeth. "I'll do it. But on one condition." Kha'ruk's eyes narrowed. "What condition?" "You treat me with respect," she said, her voice firm. "I'm not your property. I'm not your slave. If I'm going to be your mate, you treat me as an equal." For a long moment, Kha'ruk said nothing. Then, to her surprise, he nodded. "Agreed. You are strong. You have earned my respect." Sarah let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "Then we have a deal." Kha'ruk extended a clawed hand, and after a moment's hesitation, she took it. His grip was firm but not painful, and he pulled her to her feet. "Come," he said, turning toward the corridor. "We must leave this place." Sarah followed him, her mind still reeling from everything that had happened. As they made their way through the wreckage of the Elysium, she couldn't help but wonder what she had just gotten herself into. But one thing was certain, she was alive. And as long as she was alive, there was hope. Epilogue. Months passed, and Sarah found herself adapting to life aboard Kha'ruk's ship. It was a strange existence, filled with challenges and compromises, but she had to admit, it was better than being dead. Kha'ruk kept his word. He treated her with respect, and over time, she began to see a different side of him. Beneath the fearsome exterior was a being of honor and loyalty, fiercely protective of those he considered his own. And though their relationship was far from conventional, Sarah found herself growing closer to him. One day, as they stood together on the observation deck, watching the stars streak by, Kha'ruk turned to her. "You have proven yourself, Sarah," he said, his voice softer than she had ever heard it. "You are strong. Brave. Worthy." She smiled faintly. "Thanks. I guess you're not so bad yourself." He chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound that sent a shiver down her spine. "Perhaps there is hope for us yet." Sarah looked out at the stars, a sense of peace settling over her. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she belonged. And that was enough.